How otters saved a marshland. Well, mostly they were just hungry. But we'll talk about the specifics of how they saved this marshland in a second. We're also going to talk after that about why 1,000 manatees went up a stream. We've got some details on new sustainable car batteries, as well as a large solar panel rollout in the US. This is Eco Show. Hello and welcome to Eco Show. This is a show about ecology, the environment, and things generally happening in that space. I'm Henry. I'm doing this thing. And our first thing that we're talking here about today is this otter situation. Otters, the little guys out in the ocean, they'll be floating around. They got the little white furry faces. And what these little folks have been doing is helping a California ecosystem to recover. And what they've done in particular is they've slowed erosion in a marshland by 90%, which is almost 100%, which would be all of the percents that could be done. And this is in Monterey County, which is around the sort of middle of California. It's a coastal area that's not hugely populated. And so how they managed to do this by being hungry is they ate a marsh crab, which was eating a whole bunch of marsh grasses, which stabilized the marsh, and the crabs go through and they chomp down the grass and it destabilizes the whole thing. So now the veg is growing back after the otters have been eating these crabs, and it's looking pretty good. And the cool thing about this in particular, because it makes sense, and it's just is a pretty cool example of getting ecosystems back into whack. But the good thing to note, or the interesting thing to note, is that this is something that would have taken millions and millions of dollars to do if it weren't for this just reintroduction of otters. So in order to eradicate this crab, that would just cost so much money to do, and then rebuilding the marsh, replanting the grasses, and everything would just be a huge ongoing issue. And by just reintroducing these otters, you had a pretty much immediate solution to this problem. This area used to have many otters in it, but they were wiped out by fur traders and were almost pushed to extinction. I think they were locally wiped out pretty darn good. They eat up to 20 pounds of food a day because they're out in the water most, if not all of the day. So they need a lot of food for those little otter bodies to keep them nice and cozy. So they're going down there and they're chomping down these crabs. So, I mean, feel bad for the crabs because they're probably just getting mowed down by these otters. But man, those otters are so cute. You know, people like to talk smack about otters. There's been a bit of things going around about otters, but all animals have some unsettling things that they do. But sea otters they're pretty cool. They have a great role in the ecosystem, and they're doing similar things lower down around Santa Barbara County. They're reintroducing otters, and they're helping to control, I believe it's a purple sea urchin, which will eat the roots of kelp and just kills the kelp, essentially. So these are really important parts of the ecosystem that are being reintroduced here, and have pretty much had immediate benefits. So cool little story there for you to start out today. And our next aquatic mammal story is about the manatee, which are the sea cows. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean that in the way that people call them, sea cows. And in a state park in Florida, manatees have been coming in, and they go into these shallow lagoons, which are very warm, and they go there to wait out winter. And this year, almost 1,000 were found throughout the lagoons, and that's 200 more than ever recorded, because temperatures in the ocean around have been pretty cold. And this might seem like a confusing thing because manatees look like they'd be big, blubbery guys, but they only have an inch of fat, which is for a sea animal is not really a whole lot. So they can actually be really susceptible to cold water. And for them, cold water is anything below 68 degrees Fahrenheit is really dangerous for them. 68 degrees Fahrenheit, about 18 degrees Celsius, I think. So that's really, that's pretty warm water. It's not hot water, but below that, you think of walruses and things like that. But it sort of makes sense because walruses, they'll go out of the water, but manatees are pretty much always in the water, aren't they? I need to do a little bit more background reading on manatees, but I'm pretty sure they don't come out of the water. This would be a really cool thing to have been able to see, but it's an important intergenerational experience for these manatees because the whole family's going up to the warm, shallow spring, and the young ones are migrating to those space and getting to cozy up. And they've got some good sort of restrictions that go on there in the wintertime where they stop people from going out in boats in these particular areas where manatee will go up and get cozy. There are about between 7,000 and 11,000 manatee across Florida, and that's up from just 1,000 50 years ago. So 50 years ago, there's only 1,000 left. I'm not sure what their sort of peak population levels are at, but if they're anything like actual cows or bison or things like that, there's probably a huge number of them. So it's good to see that they are increasing in their populations. But these climate change things, we talk about the ocean heating up, and there was a recent hottest ocean day that happened recently. But the climate change is like, the tricky thing with it is in general things are getting warmer, but the issues that cause a lot of problems are these extreme events on top of the already gradually warming things, and you get really hot times in the ocean and you'll get really cold situations happen in the ocean. So this was sort of precipitated. This whole migration of the manatee up the stream was because it was particularly cold, but they had a good place to winter over. And we've had a little mammal moment, and now we're going to have a little electrical activity talking about some advancements in batteries. I recorded the show earlier today, but then I didn't check my voice recording. I have to record this into a little voice thing, and that died mid-show. So I'm recording this again. And so when I say in the show that I should have done some more research on something, I said that the original recording as well, but I didn't do it. So I apologize. That's on me. But that's a little preface because we're going to talk about batteries, which is an area that I'm not really familiar with. Okay, anyways, so battery advancements that are happening. Solid state batteries are advancing. So this is something that you may be hearing about more, and they are purported to make EVs or electronic vehicles more sustainable. So the usual batteries that we're used to are lithium-ion batteries, and these batteries have a bit of issues. They have limited storage, fire concerns, they don't have long lifespans, and they don't have very good carbon footprint. But apparently these solid-state batteries are a bit more sustainable than these lithium-ion batteries. I don't particularly know why, and I haven't looked it up since, so that's on me. I have a friend who I'll check in with and talk to about what the difference in these battery situations is/are, but these solid-state batteries in general take less materials and last for longer, and apparently reduce climate impacts by 39%, according to this article. which will be linked below. A sort of sign that this is a new and upcoming thing is that all major car makers are developing their own solid state batteries. So there's a little bit of a race going on to develop these batteries, because once you get that technology down, it seems like it's going to be kind of the way to go. Okay, so we've talked about batteries there, and our next little final piece that we're talking about is /r solar panels. Solar panels, some solar panel news. The U.S. just unveiled its biggest solar energy and storage project. It just came online. This was in California in the past week, and it's enough power for 233,000 homes. But it's not going to your home, it's going to power companies, and it's going to Starbucks, apparently. They've got a big plant near here that's going to help power. This took 1.9 million US-made solar panels. This article was sure to note that it was US-made panels. I don't know if US-made panels are any better than anywhere else, but I definitely have a bias. If I hear it's US-made, I think, oh, that's got to be good, but I don't know if that's actually true. This is over 4.6 thousand acres of desert. And I ought to have an analogy for how many soccer fields or football fields this is, but we can say it's a lot. There will be a photo on the YouTube showing it, and it will show an expansive area being covered by solar panels. These are probably having a pretty big ecological impact. The desert has a lot of rare animals and cool little critters, so I'm sure there's some pretty big issues that came from this, but always great to develop more sustainable energy going on there. So that's about it for today's show. Quick and easy, right to the point. And so that's been the show. Thanks for checking in. If you just can't get enough of me talking about things, Beach Dogs is the name of the show, and it's on the YouTube channel. But you have been warned, it's not very good. So there you have it. I hope you're having a good week. Hope you have a good weekend. I hope you have a good month, year, and rest of the decade. So thanks for checking in. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.